All right, here we go. Back at y'all one more time. So what's on tap for today? Well, first of all, let me say I got halfway through. What's up? I got halfway through Uncle Tom 2 last night. Didn't get a chance to finish it. It's so far, I mean, it's excellent. It's excellent. Had to get up early this morning and I was kind of tired, so I figured I may as well take myself to bed, but I'm going to finish Uncle Tom 2 probably sometime this week. I bought it on stream and I don't have a physical copy. Here's my physical copy of the first Uncle Tom documentary. It's still in the plastic because it took me so long to get a physical copy. I had already seen it a few times. I had streamed it directly from the website and finally got a physical copy, but it's just sitting here in the plastic. It's a must-see. The first one, and so far the second one is excellent as well. I'm kind of mad they didn't reach out to me and ask me to contribute, but it's all good, man. It's all good, Chad. You know, holla at your boy when you get a minute. But yeah, man, I need to, my children, my daughters they're 12 and 10 now. So I feel as though they're old enough to get a dose of this here, especially given the fact that, but we all know what's happening with American education. And so we just have to make sure we keep a tight watch over our children and what they're being taught. But anywho, so, man, what's in the news? So, y'all hearing about this whole Black Little Mermaid controversy, right? Right? So, Disney, I'm sure unless you're living under a rock, I know sometimes I live under a rock, but I know about this. So, Disney is sort of reimagining. They're coming out with live action adaptations of some of their classical animated cartoons. You know, they did the Aladdin, they did the Jungle Book, and all that stuff. So now they're doing the Little Mermaid. Okay. And now as a kid, I wasn't too big on Disney. Right, I was a boy, rough and tumble. I kind of thought that the whole Disney, the princess culture would have, I kind of thought it was like a girl's thing. You know, there were some Disney films that were kind of centered around sort of like the men. I remember like Aladdin was like one of the first Disney movies that I really liked. You know, my dad took me to the movies to go see it, even though, you had Jasmine, but, Aladdin, he was like the hero. It was like really, the story was sort of like about him, And then The Lion King, of course, was good. And I liked the original Toy Story, but I'm not really big on Disney like that. But I just wanted to come and give my 2 cents. And, I'll post this live stream to my Instagram channel, but I'm going to also post it to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to get the ball rolling on that. Don't really have a lot of content up. Only have about 5 or 6 videos up thus far, but I'm going to start transmitting all of my Instagram stuff over to my YouTube page. So if you like my stuff, if you're here, if you're listening, go subscribe to my YouTube channel, man. The link is in the bio. So as far as the Little Mermaid being black, a lot of people are kind of confused on this, even people on our side, right? I mean, I hear people coming to me and they're saying, man, sometimes, it's just the right, whatever, the right makes us look bad when they, what's the big deal? Sometimes it's kind of hard for me to distinguish between the right and from the left and so on and so forth. And so I've had a couple of people come to me to get my opinion on what I think about the Little Mermaid being black. What's up, homie? So I'm going to give my 2 cents. It may shock some of you, my take on this, but then again, it may not if you know me. And I'm just going to come out the gate and say it, okay? The Little Mermaid being black is a huge problem. Ariel should not be black. And I'm going to tell you why. Not only am I going to tell you why, but I'm going to tell you why people are justified in their frustration, in their anger about the race swap of the character Ariel in The Little Mermaid. First thing we have to take into consideration, okay, and I got in my background, I got some computer screens up here because I'm going to be reading some sources, and I actually took some bullet points down because I wanted to make sure that I hit on some very topics, some themes or whatever that I want to discuss, and because I don't want to miss anything. Okay, this is not happening in a vacuum. The Hollywood left, or the entire American left for that matter, has a very specific agenda, and they have made that agenda clear. You see, whatever good faith Hollywood had with the viewing public has been eviscerated a long time ago. And it's based upon what? Their own statements and their own actions. So we're gonna take a dive into this, okay? Because what you are seeing, and they are calling people who are upset with Ariel being turned into a black mermaid, they are upset with people, or they are accusing people who are upset at Ariel being race swapped of being racist. But what you are seeing with that is, of course, confession through projection. Because they want you to believe that Ariel's race doesn't matter. But if Ariel's race didn't matter, then her race should have never been changed in the first place. Because what the left is doing and what they have, see, it's this classic, what they call this kind of passive aggressive sort of gaslighting, right? They accuse you of exactly what it is that they're doing. Because we know offhand that, of course, it is the left that is, in fact, I'm gonna get to you. I'm gonna address you, bruh. Because they have a right. They have a right to be upset about a fairy tale, and I'm going to tell you why. Because in many respects, pop culture, from Star Wars to Marvel Comics, functions as a kind of a modern day mythology. It's mythology for modern day. And it matters immensely. The same exact thing that's happening with the Lord of the Rings and this new Rings of Power show. It matters because to the left, as they say, as they have said themselves, that you must make the private political, because everything to the left is political, wacko. You have to learn how to play their game. Because what we must realize from this point forward, and we should have known this a long time ago, is that we are in a war. The United States is in a war. Yep, Carl Jung talked about archetypes and how important contemporary mythology is. But anywho, back to what I was saying. We are in a war. And nothing that the left does is superficial. If you believe that, you will indeed be left behind or trampled in this stampede of cultural ethnocide, because this is what the left is doing. They are engaging in a type of cultural ethnocide, because the reason why they chose a black actress to play Ariel is not because they simply chose the best actress for the job. They specifically went after a minority actress because they did not want a white actress to play the character. And why is this? It is simple, because it is based upon the Marxian creed of this kind of newly formed race-based proletariat. The left in America hates white people. Make no mistake about it. And everything that they say today, especially when it comes to popular media and all forms of popular entertainment. They always talk about representation and so on and so forth. See, they would have you believe that in order for the character of Ariel to connect with minorities, the character must share the reflection of the viewer. Now ask yourself this question. How many times in your life did you look at fictional characters that you admired and said to yourself, I wish that person looked like me so that way I could feel comfortable in admiring that character? You see, it goes back to what I said in one of my previous live streams. Good art art transcends something as superficial as skin color because it taps into something that is sort of fundamental as far as man's nature. Because good storytelling is transcendent, because there's a line, a thread that links all human beings together. This is why franchises like Lord of the Rings are so popular, and why they transcend culture, why Lord of the Rings has been translated into multiple languages, because it is not, even though Tolkien said it himself, that he created the Lord of the Rings so that England can have its own mythology. But people from all over the world identify with Lord of the Rings because it is something essential in terms of the theme that is contained within the narrative of Lord of the Rings itself. And the same can be said about many of Disney's properties, because it's not about the race of the character. You see, the more we race obsess, the more and more the races drift apart. Races come together when you can see similarities between you and something that does not, in fact, look like you. But see, they think that they are doing you, black people, a favor by giving you a black mermaid. This is how I forgot who it was, but someone once famously said that if you tell a people or tell a person what you expect of them, it will tell them exactly what you think of them. This is what they think you deserve, a black mermaid. Because your life outcomes are predicated upon how you feel about yourself. This is the way they think. And so your self-esteem is directly connected to how it is the culture writ large addresses you as a minority. So when you see yourself as a mermaid, then what? It could lead to better life outcomes. Even though research shows that what? Because, of course, things like self-esteem are linked to rates of suicide, etc., etc. You all know that white Americans are at the top when it comes to rate of suicide. Even though, they say, well, blacks, have all of these issues, and this they sort of display all of this social dysfunction because they suffer from a lack of self-esteem because of how they're treated by the wider society. Even though when polled, when asked, black people show a higher degree of self-esteem than their white counterparts, but their white counterparts display a higher suicide rate. There's a higher suicide rate amongst their white counterparts. So what this says is that black people, despite what the Hollywood left tells you, has a very high sense of itself, or those who consider themselves black, or those who are black on average, have a very high perception of themselves. And so the race swapping of Ariel is an example of their cultural Marxist agenda. You see, to them, this is an example of social justice, because social justice is all about turning the tables. Remember, Antonio Gramsci, the Italian Marxist who was sort of like a protege of Karl Marx, believed that communism did not spread to the West because capitalism, in essence, had made the peoples of the West too comfortable. And it was the culture that had inculcated the principles of capitalism. So in order to overthrow the liberal West, contrary to what Marx believed when he talked about the proletariat seizing the means of production, the proletariat must seize the means of cultural production. Because if you want to overthrow the society, you have to challenge the hegemony of the status quo by infiltrating the institutions and creating what Antonio Gramsci referred to as a parallel culture, or a counter culture within the dominant culture to challenge the hegemony. So this is an example of social justice. To race swap the Little Mermaid is to them getting back at white people for all the years and years and years when they were the racial group that were predominantly displayed in forms of popular entertainment. Because they've made it clear. If you don't believe anything that I'm saying, this will shine the light. I mean, the hypocrisy is glaring. Because if the roles were reversed, this would not be tolerated. Could you imagine a significant black character being race swapped? Imagine that they've already reimagined with Samuel L. Jackson in the more recent Shaft film. But could you imagine if Shaft was a white man? Or perhaps if T'Challa, Black Panther, was a white man? They wouldn't tolerate it. See, they would accuse those trying to swap out black characters for white ones. They would accuse those who support that as engaging in cultural appropriation. But it's okay to culturally appropriate a white character because according to them, it is precisely what white people deserve. Because it isn't racist when it's done to white people, because in order to be racist, you must possess power and privilege. This is what the left says when they talk about racism. They talk about the power privilege dynamic. And only he who is in fact oppressed cannot be guilty of racism, because he who is oppressed is a perpetual victim. So they're merely responding to something that, of course, was initially done to them. So it's okay if Ariel is race swapped, but you can't take a fictional black character and race swap them. They wouldn't tolerate that. Because, of course, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. See, if you're a white person, see, mind you, they want to make this about race. It's not about race, of course. It's about what you think and, of course, what you believe. But see, they want to make this about race. See, you have to protect the sanctity of so-called black art or black fiction if you're white, but you would allow, or you are supposed to allow all of these cultural bandits to take white characters and do whatever it is they want to do with them while you just stand down. And if you don't stand down, then you'll be accused of being a racist. That's emotional and social blackmail. All the while, they tell you out of their mouths what they're doing. They will tell you out of their mouths that they don't like you. They sure as hell don't like you if you're white. And they don't like you if you're conservative, if you're Christian, if you vote Republican, if you support Trump. Hollywood has openly told you this. Nothing, once again, I reiterate, nothing that the Hollywood left does is superficial. If you want a black character and you want a black character to resonate with the wider public, then create one. But in the spirit of my boy Eric July, who always talks about the bastardization of original characters, they've taken the character of Ariel and they've dressed her up in blackface. But instead of a white actor actually donning themselves in blackface, they literally gave you a black actress to play a character that has been historically depicted as white in the literature. Because they don't want to give a black actress or a black actor the opportunity to popularize something that is to popularize a character that was originally depicted as black, because they themselves only see value in white characters. But they'll say, well, I'm tolerant, I love black people, I'm this and that. But what is the progressive left in Hollywood willing to give you, black community? A hand-me-down white character for you to portray. Because they don't see value in black characters, i.e. they don't see value in you. They also, and you see, this is another reason why people are upset at the Little Mermaid and Disney and all this other crap. If you've been reading the stories, the narratives, that Disney is in fact, I'm gonna get to the Woman King. That's next. But Disney, and I'm talking about it's next in this broadcast. Disney even said it themselves that they are also, mind you, they're going to start doing what? Putting more queer characters and more queer stories in their products. And this, that, and third, we saw the footage, correct? So they are now going to begin subverting the narrative of romance, because in the past, Disney's films and products had been had been sort of problematic by today's by the standards of today's left, because they promote these sexist ideas about love and the woman seeking the prince, the woman seeking, because see, it's not enough for a woman to sort of be feminine or for a man to be heroic. You see, that's simply perpetuating gender stereotypes. So now they're going to subvert the narrative of romance and make Ariel's quest about self-reliance and independence. Not the fact that, oh, I found love and I want to live a surface life so I can live a happily ever after with the love of my life. They're no longer doing that. For example, did you hear about like films like Sleeping Beauty? I'll give you another example. So remember the narrative of Sleeping Beauty. She's a princess. She sleep. The princess has to kiss the Sleeping Beauty in order to, right? But how can he kiss her if she cannot consent to being kissed? So now they're saying films like Sleeping Beauty are problematic because films like Sleeping Beauty promote rape culture. This is Disney. So, but see, at the same time, see, we aren't allowed to be upset for calling them out for doing precisely what it is they told us they set out to do. See, you just aren't allowed to be upset about it. Once again, turning white characters into black ones is a deliberate act of cultural ethnocide, because the left hates white people. Because the left sees white people as some kind of form of modern day racial bourgeoisie. And this is why they're doing this, because you wouldn't see it done if the roles were reversed. Because black people and their properties have to be protected at all costs. So much so to the point where if you as a white person, you may not even be allowed to dress up as a black character during Halloween. Let me go over here, because I pulled up some articles. This here is from CNN. Dear white people with dreadlocks, some things that you need to consider. So remember, the left is engaging in this ongoing conversation with respect to whether or not white people should be allowed to even wear dreadlocks. You have here in the CNN article, a University of Richmond professor, Bert Ash, writes in Twisted, My Dreadlock Chronicles, talking about cultural appropriation. There's that word. Cultural appropriation is about the power dynamic. When people with power and privilege decide to validate, he puts validation in air quotes, customs and traditions that oppress people have long been marginalized, for saying this is the new hot thing. Then we have, by saying that this is the new hot thing, then we have serious problems. Or when they refuse to credit the people who innovated those styles or traditions, but claim them as original ideas. Then we get into appropriation. Showing love for someone is awesome, and doing so with respect to the culture is appreciation. And I don't see problems with that. But for the most part, I do think white people have to be mindful of their privilege, though, and think twice before hopping on the newest trend. So white people have to think twice before they lock their hair. White people have to think twice before they let their kids, their white children, be Black Panther for Halloween. If you don't believe me, you can look this up. This is an article from the Daily Mail that was published back in 2018. Headline reads, White parents agonizing over whether to allow their children to wear a Black Panther costume in the case they are accused of cultural appropriation. So you take a Disney classic, make the main character black. People get upset about it, not because they don't like white people. It is you, or should I say they don't like black people. It is you who don't like white people. And you attempt to bully and intimidate them so that you can maintain political and social clout by lauding your victimhood over everybody and for the sake and in the name of political correctness. It is you all are a cult of bullies, bigots, and haters. White people and people like me, who you can clearly see is not white, does not have a problem with black actresses or black people in general. What they have a problem with is your hypocrisy and your double standards, because it is the dictates of cultural Marxism by way of emancipatory politics that suggests that anyone who is oppressed cannot be guilty of the kind of immorality that you are in fact accusing them of doing when they are simply calling out what you are doing. So, remember our old buddy Megyn Kelly, who was booted off of MSNBC. Remember, she was a shining star on Fox. I guess she went over to NBC because it was greener pastures over there, perhaps more money. And then remember, she kind of toned down her conservative message a bit so she can try to fit in with her newfound liberal friends. Remember that? But her conservative audience from Fox didn't follow her over to MSNBC. And then when Megyn Kelly's ratings began to slide, rumors in the articles began with some chirping and said, well, MSNBC is trying to get out from under this massive contract because Megyn Kelly wasn't worth the investment. So they found a way to get rid of her. Why did they get rid of her? Remember what Megyn Kelly got in trouble for, you ladies and gentlemen? Remember what the controversy was? When she defended people wanting to wear whatever kind of Halloween costume that they wanted to wear. Because remember, I think it was Yale University, or perhaps this is not just Yale, this is multiple universities around this time. And lo and behold, Halloween is approaching. I can guarantee you, as sure as I am sitting in this chair right here, right now, that there's going to be some kind of scandal, some kind of national headline, because the conversation once again is going to resurface with respect to what is an acceptable Halloween costume. Some white parents wonder if they should let their kids wear T'Challa costumes. I'm going to go to another article. This is from Fox News. Remember this? Forever 21 apologizes for using white model to model Black Panther inspired sweater. So Forever 21, they were selling sweaters with Black Panther themes of Wakanda Forever and all these images of the Black Panther. And they had a white actor, a white male model wearing the sweater. Well, of course, Forever 21 pulled the ad and they issued an apology because fuck that. If you're a white model, you can't even wear a Black Panther sweater. Now, keep in mind, these progressives, they claim up and down that we are the ones who are dividing the people, you see. But, see, they take cultural appropriation as a bad thing. You can't make money off of it. You can't, if you like, keep in mind, you cannot appropriate a culture because culture cannot be owned. Culture is just a specific set of values and behaviors and customs and traditions and language and so on and so forth. Culture is broadly defined, but culture is not something that one can own. But you sure as hell can commoditize something if the thing that you are participating in has a demand on the market, so therefore you should be compensated for what it is that you produce. Case in point. Headline, Huffington Post. In Portland, a burrito truck closes after owners are accused of cultural appropriation. What was this story pertaining to? There were two white women, a woman named Liz and a woman named Callie, had a business, Cook's Burrito business, and it was featured in the Willamette Week on May 16th. During the interview, kindly describe how the duo made their own tortillas after taking a trip to Porto Nuevo, Mexico in December and obtaining information on the process. So, fast forward. The women subsequently had their burrito cart shut down by activists accusing the business owners of this burrito cart of engaging in cultural appropriation. The problem, of course, is that it's unclear whether the Mexican woman who handed over their recipes ever got anything in return. King wrote in the piece that also outlined how others had begun to accuse the women of cultural appropriation, and now those same recipes are being sold at a delicacy in Portland. So, those women who own that truck may very well be better burrito makers than any fucking Mexican you know, but they are not allowed to run a business where they cook and sell burritos and tacos or whatever the hell else because they're not Mexican. But see, that's racist. But see, it's not racist of someone like them to suggest that only Mexican people should be cooking burritos. Let me tell you something. Me as a free human being, whether I'm white, black, or whatever, I cook what the fuck I want. If I'm white and I want to wear dreadlocks, I wear whatever the hell I want. If I want to be white and walk outside in a goddamn dashiki and an afro, I should be able to do whatever the hell I want to do. Because see, they're so perverted and twisted in the way they think that they don't even think that is in fact a sign of progress. The fact that I may look at another culture and say to myself, I like the way they do things. I like that over there. So you know what? I'm going to do that because I think it's cool. I like it. I like their music. I like the way they dress. I like the way they speak, etc., etc. No, but the left is trying to convince you that black people should only do a certain thing, that brown people should only do a certain thing, that white people should only do a certain thing, etc., etc., etc. But see, they claim that we are the ones that are trying to divide people, huh? While all of them, particularly all the black progressives, while they run around and gallivant and do whatever the fuck they want to do with all their white benefactors and their white spouses. But sitting up here acting all militant in public, doing this fucking performative song and dance, trying to tell you how black they are because they feel guilty at the fact that they love everything white. These clown ass, wannabe fake ass militant black men will go before the public and talk all this pro black shit and go home and lay up in between a white woman's legs. And then want to make you feel guilty. What? Because you what? You want to live a decent life? Because you want to increase the police presence in your neighborhood because you tired of the black criminals terrorizing, your neighborhood? Can't even park your car in front of your home without living in perpetual fear that you're going to wake up one day and your car is going to be gone. Nothing left but a pile of shattered glass on the concrete. That makes you white. I got it. I understand. I got it. Let me tell you something. Art, such as it is, it belongs to the creator. It is not up for some fake ass activist to reimagine. See, they accuse others of, mind you, they don't accuse others of a cultural appropriation. Keep in mind, only white people can be guilty because the white man is the colonizer. The white man is the thief. The white man is the crusader. The white man is the oppressor. In his white woman, his co-conspirator. They are the only ones that can be guilty because they are the ones that have stolen everything. This is the way these idiots think, which is nothing more than an excuse for people to behave improperly because they can never be guilty or held accountable for what it is they do. So the left can steal whatever it is that they want to steal if they are doing it in service of their cause. People say, well, the backlash for the Lord of the Rings of Power is rooted in racism. People don't want Ariel to be depicted as black. That's rooted in racism. But the character was portrayed the way the character was intended to be portrayed according to the creator of that piece of work. You don't have the right to change it and reform it and bastardize it because it does not belong to you. Tolkien said specifically that he wrote a mythology for England. Now you claim that people who want to protect Tolkien's legacy are engaging in racism because Amazon is putting out the new Lord of Rings of Power series in there, infusing it with black characters and minority representation. But it's not about minority representation strictly for the sake of minority representation. How does minority representation enhance the story? Because if that's not the way Tolkien wrote it, then that's just not the way he wrote it. You don't have the right to do that to a piece of work because it does not belong to you. What are we going to do next, Paint the Mona Lisa? Shade, put some shade on it and make her look a little darker? What are we going to do, What are we going to do with the statue of David, You running around with all these stereotypes about black men, That we got the biggest you-know-what's, what you going to do? With the Star of David. Add an attachment. Make the penis a little bit bigger. Turn him into a black man. Take Leonardo da Vinci's work and corrupt it. I don't even get off into the whole Jesus depict because that's a graven image anyway, man. That's a conversation for another day. I'm not talking about that kind of art. If you want to depict Jesus as black, go ahead. If you want to depict him as white, go ahead. You're still committing sin. But going back to my point, the point of entertainment to the left. I'm gonna read this. This is a moniker of the left. It's called making the personal political or the private political. The private is political is a political argument used as a rallying slogan for the student movement and second wave feminism from the 1960s. In the context of the feminist movement of the 1960s and 70s, it was a challenge to the nuclear family and family values. The phrase, the personal is political, arose in the student movement and second wave feminism from the late 1960s. It underscored the connections between personal experience and the larger social and political structures. In the context of the feminist movement of the 1960s and 70s, once again, it was a challenge to the nuclear family and family values. Exactly. Seize the means of production. Whether you're talking about goods and services in terms of classical orthodox Marxism, or you're talking about seize the means of cultural production, taking things that isn't yours, corrupting Marvel, taking things that Stan Lee and other great writers created, and I'm gonna get to that. You bastardize them. You want to take Tolkien's work and bastardize them. I remember when the Lord of the Rings, when Steven Jackson movies first came out. I'm sitting up on the block. Trust me when I tell you this. Anybody who hears me say this. I don't know who you think I am or who you think I might be, but I can go right there on the street right now and fit right in. You want to know why? Because I've been on the block, I've been there, and I've done that. Ain't nothing corny, suburban, Oreo sellout about me. Trust me when I tell you, I was right there on the block, right off Washburn on West 7 Mile, talking to my homies back in the day, and they was going crazy over Lord of the Rings. I guarantee they probably ain't never even read Tolkien's books, but they love them goddamn movies. These are straight up, pardon my French, straight up hood niggas. And I ain't even into all the wizards and sorcery and all that shit. And I was looking at them and I'm like, what the fuck y'all talking about Lord of the Rings? Yeah, I heard of that shit, but y'all, they like, Chuck, bro, nigga, that shit sweet as fuck. Pants sagging, slang, whatever, tattoos, hat cock. Some of them probably got felonies on their record. But they love some Lord of the Rings, boy. Ain't not a black character nowhere. They never gave a fuck. But see, you don't come to the hood for real, and ask the brothers on the block what they think about Peter Jackson's original trilogy. You ain't ask them. What you think? Harry Potter and all this other bullshit. What you think? They are as popular as they are internationally because only white people like it? Then you think that I'm so intellectually stunted, that I'm so intellectual, or that I'm so emotionally immature that I can't like a movie unless the actresses are black? My favorite movie in the world is The Godfather. And I believe they threw a couple of racial slurs around back then because Italians and blacks really wasn't on the same page back then. Hell, they might not be now. But you mean to tell me that The Godfather ain't arguably the greatest movie ever made? Can't watch it. Can't watch The Grapes of Wrath, Casablanca, Citizen Kane. Nah, you can't watch these movies. Okay. They ain't black enough. Okay. I got you. So, what the left does, right? Like I said, going back, make the private political. Everything you do in your private life is political. Everything you do. So that means that, notice how we talk about how the left politicizes everything. You have to understand, because politics is their meta-narrative. So everything in life, everything is in reality is downstream from politics. So they use entertainment as a platform to engage in their activism. Once again, we know it, we see it, we recognize it, we call it out, and they call us bigots because we don't want a black Ariel. No, motherfucker, it's not that we don't want a black Ariel. We are getting sick and tired of your political agenda, and not for the sake of it being political, or not in the sense that, well, we don't like politics in our entertainment. Because once again, politics is downstream from spirituality, and spirituality, once again, acts as a meta-narrative that informs or forms your entire worldview. So all things in essence is political by default, but what we are quite frankly getting sick and tired of are the lies and the falsehoods. Sick and tired of it. Sick and tired of your propaganda. And I'll be damned if you emotionally and socially blackmail me by calling me a racist or a coon or Uncle Tom, a sellout and a coconut and this, that, and the third. Nigga, I done been through hell and back. Nigga, I don't give a fuck about what you say about me. All these punk, Sonny, what do you call it? Hostin on MSNBC, Joy Reid, huh? All these Ivy League educated black elitists looking down their noses at motherfuckers like me who come from the corner, who come from, what, huh? But you passing judgment on me, nigga. I ain't never seen the inside of an Ivy League. And I bet you I'm 10 times smarter than your punk ass, while you got the nerve to insult me while pretending to be some kind of vanguard for the black community. Motherfucker, you ain't shit. You and your white progressive co-conspirators. Fuck all y'all. You don't intimidate me. You can't bully and blackmail me. Ariel is white and she should stay white. Got you thinking that I'm just gonna what? Wake up one day and pay my child support, be a better father, take care of my kids, learn how to resolve conflict without wanting to kill another man, get up off my ass, go get a job, be respectful. Huh? Go to church. I know. Hey, y'all hear me. I'm going in because I'm a work in progress. I tell people all the time. So you got to excuse me. God, give me a little grace. I'm trying. But go to church, get to know God, be a better family man, be a better husband. You think seeing a black Ariel is going to make me want to do all those things? These non sequiturs, where's the connection? But that's how little they think about you. My black daughters don't need to see a fucking black mermaid to believe that they can be whatever it is that, huh? Yeah, give my daughters a black mermaid. They don't need no fucking black mermaid. They got me and their mother. And they have a church, a support system. They have God. They have morality. My kids go to Bible study once a week, got Bibles and they sit there and read them, take tests, quizzes on their knowledge of scripture. They don't need no Black Mermaid. That's ideology. They have a legitimate mythology, so to speak. A legitimate meta-narrative. That's mythology. Mermaids. So this woman king. So let me tell you something else that pisses people off. So Viola Davis says, if you don't go see her movie, then that means you're a racist. See, they tried to make a movie about a female warrior king, whatever, supposedly based upon a true story. This woman really existed in history, late 18th, 19th century, something like that. I'm not familiar with her. I'm not familiar with this story. But by way of the film trailers, they make it seem as though this tribe of warrior women go and they talk about colonialism and something about, white man, something or another, right? I'm not quite sure exactly what the plot of the movie is. I haven't seen it, to be fair. But people who are familiar with the story of the woman that Viola Davis portrays in the film says that particular tribe was in fact engaged in the trafficking of slaves. And what the woman king would do, her and her female warriors, is that they would capture neighboring tribes, the vulnerable from other neighboring tribes, take them into their own fold, and then sell them into slavery to Arabs and other white slave traders. So people were saying, well, wait a minute, this movie is historically inaccurate. This is nothing more than sort of fluff puff propaganda to make white people look bad and to make women seem like they're heroic while the men run around like dullards. So when before the movie was even released, Viola Davis accused you. See, this is what Hollywood thinks of its viewers. This is what Hollywood thinks of its consumers. It thinks that it can dog you, talk shit about you, make you feel bad for not going to see their movies, make you feel bad for not liking their products and all the bullshit they put out. You're supposed to, out of guilt, go and support whatever trash they put out while they simultaneously insult you. Fuck you, Viola Davis. I don't gotta go see your goddamn movie. I ain't gotta like you. I ain't gotta spend time or money on shit you put out. And I don't gotta pay attention to shit you say. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna call you, you full of shit. Oh, I know I'm black, so I'm saying I'm a race traitor. If I was white and I told Viola Davis she can kiss my ass, and I'd be a racist. Or if I told Whoopi Goldberg she can kiss my ass, I would be a racist. Remember, Whoopi Goldberg, she got a little affinity for white men too. Remember that. I tell you right now, boy, you couldn't keep Whoopi Goldberg away from a white man. That's right, Cowabunga. Another reason to boycott Hollywood while they insult the consumer. Let me tell you something. And this is, I keep saying that, because shit just be, this is a live stream, y'all. So this is a stream of consciousness. I'm not really organized here, okay? But I'm going to tell y'all, man, you got white folks out there, man. Male, female, whatever. But let's just talk about the white men for a second. My hard-working, blue-collar white men out there. You all are busting your asses to provide for yourself and whoever the hell else depends on you. You work from Monday through Friday, working however many hours, probably more than your standard 40-hour work week. You come home, turn on your television when you get a moment to just woosah and decompress. You turn on your television to see professional athletes kneeling in protest to the American flag, having the nerve to suggest that white people are the beneficiaries of a system that is partial to them, while they play a game for a living and make millions of dollars while doing so, and you're expected to sit there and watch that. I'll be damned. You're not going to insult me, because if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be shit. If it wasn't for all the white people who treat these professional athletes and black entertainers like conquering heroes, they wouldn't be shit. But I'm supposed to sit there and be lectured by you, and I, as a black man, am supposed to cheer that shit on? When I got more in common with that white man who drives a truck, who is the clerk at a gas station, a plumber, an electrician, a banker, a sales rep at some kind of retail outlet, me and that white man are here, simpatico. I ain't got shit in common with LeBron James. But he's supposed to speak for me because he lives in fear of police on a daily basis. Ain't that about a bitch? But if I'm a white man, I'm supposed to just sit there and accept it, be browbeaten and flog myself because I was born a certain way. While I'm busting my ass and can barely put food on the fucking table. You got to be kidding me, man. So we supposed to go see the woman king because we got to prove something to Viola Davis because she is morally superior to the rest of us. You kiss my ass, Viola. I don't give a damn how, I don't care if it is. I ain't seen it. I don't care if it was a good movie. I'll never know. Thanks to you, big mouth. How hard is it? Once upon a time, celebrities knew and understood. Man, I'm rich and famous. I'm living a life that most people can only dream of, man. Why don't I approach the viewing public with some respect? Tell them, hey, I had a good time making a film. I read over the script. I thought it was a good role. I went into it like such and such, explain the process and say, hey, be grateful. Be grateful. Huh? You know, I would appreciate it if you go and see my movie and support it. I think it's a great film. I think you'll really enjoy it. And if you don't like it, it's a free country. It's America. You have a right not to like it. Well, stop calling everybody fucking racist and shit and sexist and homophobic and all this bullshit. Stop it. But they not gonna stop. So you know what, y'all? We can't stop. When they call us racist, we say fuck you. As a matter of fact, don't man. I talked about the Little Mermaid from the start. Cowabunga. I'm gonna post this video on my YouTube channel, but I'm also gonna post this live stream to this Instagram page. You can check out the beginning. I started out talking about the Black Little Mermaid, but you ain't got to defend yourself against their allegations. Call them what they are. You calling me racist? No, motherfucker, that's you. Don't tell me, no, I'm not racist. I got black friends. You tell them, matter of fact, even if you got black friends, tell them you don't. Tell them I ain't never met a black person, don't know no black people. I ain't got to prove shit to you. It's not that I don't like black people, bitch. I don't like you. You had the nerve to accuse me of being something that I'm not. You insulted me. Just because I don't want to see your movie. Or just because I think that if you are really an artist, you should come up with an original piece of work and stop taking white characters and turning them into black ones. Or taking male characters and turning them into women. Make something we like. Make a story we like. We love Sarah Connor. We love Ellen Ripley. We love Beatrice Kiddo and Kill Bill. I love the way one of the greatest films ever made, and and she did not compromise her femininity, and it also showed how it could be difficult working in an all-male environment. And it did it with such artistic great, Clarice Starling, Silence of the Lambs. Go watch that movie, man. You talk about, and like I said, I don't know nothing about her, what you call, I forgot the actress's name. I don't know anything about her politics. Like I say, most of Hollywood is liberal, not all of them. But nevertheless, we don't care, man. Just put out something good. Great story, great movie. Because she used her gifts to accomplish the task at hand. Because God is the author of humanity. Not man. Clarice Starling didn't have to pretend to be a man in order to act like a man to be heroic. Women can be heroic while still acting like women. You saw the fear, the insecurity, the emotion, the sort of naivete, the whole, I mean, anyway, y'all seen The Silence of the Lambs. If you haven't seen it, fuck, go see it. So y'all know this doesn't just apply when it comes to race swaps, right? So y'all know characters, their sexuality is being swapped as well. Y'all know that, right? Representation, right? So I'm gonna go through some headlines. I don't know if you all familiar with Marvel comics and superheroes and this and the third. So way back when, and this is just a couple. I could have had all type of shit. I'd be here all day. CNN. X-Men character Iceman ousted as gay. He's been part of a wildly popular superhero team since its very beginning, but there's something we never knew about Bobby Drake, aka Iceman of the X-Men. Wednesday's issue of All New X-Men number 40 reveals the truth that Bobby Drake is gay. Okay. You cool? Y'all cool? Y'all got no problem with Iceman being gay, huh? Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. We moving on. The Hollywood Reporter. Robin comes out as bisexual in Batman comic after 81 years. I think I want this, realizes Tim Drake, a.k.a. Robin, in the new Batman Urban Legends. For all of you who are not familiar with comic books, you know, Robin, there have been multiple Robins, Tim Drake, and what's some of the other ones? Y'all know, it's been like 4 or 5 different Robins. But Tim Drake is the one they chose. Let's see what we got here. Oh, I'm getting there. Daily Mail article published October 2001. New Superman comes out as bisexual. DC Comics reveals superhero son of Clark Kent and Lois Lane will start a romance with male friend 2 months after Robin came out as bi. Okay. Gotcha. Did y'all hear the rumor, huh? Well, I don't even think it's a rumor right now. I think it's set in stone. I guess there's an HBO series coming out. There's a new Superman, HBO Max series coming out. You know who's slated to play Clark Kent, a.k.a. Superman? None other than Michael B. Jordan. He's the new Superman, supposedly, huh? Or he's lobbying for the role, or there's some kind of a fan a petition of sorts, or some kind of campaign to get Michael B. Jordan to play Superman. That's what y'all want? A black Superman? That'll make you feel good? It's about time, huh? They don't want to give you a black character you actually like, but they want to give you, a black Clark Kent. They want to take Clark Kent and put him in blackface, but instead of having a white actor actually put on the polish and, they just use an actual black man. That's what y'all want to see? A black Superman? Okay. How much y'all gonna take until there's just no more white? Don't you? From the whole thing, from the statue toppling, pulling down statues of Christopher Columbus, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Theodore Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln, changing the names of schools and roads and institutions because we don't want to remind ourselves of this, that, and the third, and this person was a racist and not so much a good person, yada, 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 yada. You think that was just going to be confined to the political and historical sphere? Then you do not know how communism works. Nothing is meant to be left standing in the society, even popular fiction. That's why they made the central character and the hero of the Star Wars mythology turned Luke Skywalker. Now they got this character Rey. Took Luke Skywalker and now she's the new Skywalker. The rise of the Skywalker is a woman. Superman is a black man. No white, nothing so-called white is meant to be left standing. But they don't remember Blade. They don't remember Blade. Blade was an awesome movie. Great movie. Blade came out. Remember, Blade popularized the whole kind of noir, that kind of that techno aesthetic a year or so before The Matrix would popularize it, because The Matrix borrowed a lot of the aesthetic from the original Blade film. But nobody remembers Blade, and Spawn, played by Michael Jai White in 1995. Now, maybe that was because, I guess white people didn't like it. I don't know. Anyway, who knows? So that's what y'all want, a black Superman? Or how about this? DC hints. This is May 18th, 2022. An article I pulled this from an outlet called Mashable. This is a publication based, I think, in India. Go figure. Or it may be based in America. Maybe it's just an Indian company. Not sure. DC hints that Bruce Wayne is bisexual in comics ahead of Pride Month. Fans say Batman is our bi king. I said Spawn. So now Bruce Wayne might be bisexual. So if you don't like this, you must be homophobic, you see. But of course, that's what you have to do in order to topple a society. You make the men weak. I'm not saying that some gay men aren't strong and courageous and brave. That's not my point. But of course, that's the exception. On average, most gay men are feminine in some way or another. They may not be walking through prancing and dancing and cross-dressing and so on and so forth. But understand, that's the point. Of course, is to make your society susceptible to conquer. Not only that, in how your society becomes more susceptible to conquer is if, of course, you demolish the nuclear family, right? Because like Antonio Gramsci said when he talked about family, that family, along with education and the church, are the three pillars of a society, because the family is the first institution that sort of enculturates the following generation. So we must, of course, usurp the authority of the a family with that of the state. And so I'm pretty much done with this screed. I just had one more thing I said about Black Panther. I just, it's funny, black people, the way they, like I said, give you a black Ariel that's supposed to clean up your neighborhood. That's supposed to not make your young daughter want to be a whore if she's never experienced true love from her father. Give her a Black Mermaid. Okay, fine. But see, they give us a myth like Black Panther. Keep in mind, once again, I started off talking about Uncle Tom 2. If you haven't gotten a chance to see Uncle Tom 2, they talked about how everything that we define as blackness was created by way of white progressives, because white progressives have always been in the back. Prudence Parlay, how you doing? Blackness, as such as it is, has always been sort of defined and sort of covertly controlled and directed by white progressives. And a lot of them were, of course, elitist Jews. I don't say that as no dig, and I have to make sure that I say this because I said elitist Jews. I qualified. Not all Jews represent. As a matter of fact, when communism was sort of running roughshod across all parts of Europe, there were many Jews, especially like particularly Russian Jews and this and the third, who had to flee many of these areas. As a matter of fact, a lot of the people who were involved, because remember, Hitler had his thing going on, and there were a lot of Jewish communists who had to, in fact, flee Germany out of course, fear of extermination. But many of them were communist, and so the story goes on, right? But it's just sort of the way it was. But like Stan Lee, a lot of these comic book creators, the characters who created, the men who created a lot of these characters were in fact white Jews back in the 70s. I think the Black Panther character has been around since what, maybe the 1965, 64. I don't know. Y'all can look this up. So Black Panther is a character that was created by white artists, and I ain't got no problem with that, man. Because if I were to apply the logic of the left, I would say that those white artists had no right to create a black superhero. That should have been the responsibility of another black person. Oh, but there was so much institutional racism and things of that going on back then that, they were keeping the black comic book writers at the door, Perhaps there was a little bit of that. I'm not exactly sure, but nevertheless, y'all can see I'm being a little tongue in cheek. So Black Panther, you see, See, we run around, I've seen it for myself. This, Wakanda forever. We all Wakanda forever. All this bullshit. I don't know if many black people realize, but you all do realize that Wakanda isn't real. You do realize that Wakanda is not a real place. And if you want to know what African culture looks like, you don't have to watch Black Panther. I got some other shit I can show you. Because I can show you what Africa looked like. I can show you what Zimbabwe looked like. I can show you what South Africa looks like. I can show you what Uganda looked like. I can show you what Equatorial Guinea looked like. I can show you all of these. Do you want me to start naming names? Huh? Francisco Macias Nguema. He was called the African Hitler, who ran Equatorial Guinea for about 9 to 10 years. Exterminated nearly a third of their entire population. Have you ever heard of him? He ain't T'Challa. Huh? Have you ever heard of Robert Mugabe, the self-described Marxist who ruined Zimbabwe? We tripping about 8.3% inflation. Zimbabwe had inflation rates by the late 1990s in the millions. Africa is rife with thievery, corruption, ineptitude, nepotism, pre-civilizational tribalism that leads to all kinds of intertribal and interstate warfare, intrastate warfare. Yeah, you got friends in Zimbabwe. Lord have mercy. Tell them about Robert Mugabe. Tell them about what happened. Black people crying out when men like Robert Mugabe and Idi Amin Dada in Uganda drove out the commercial base by attacking the locals, attacking white people, attacking the East Indians that had fed those countries. Those nations collapsed because they were expropriating and redistributing and reallocating property to the native Africans who did not know how to run those industries. You want to know what Africa looks like? And mind you, Africa is the most culturally diverse region in the world, exemplified by how many languages are spoken in sub-Saharan Africa alone, which is what in fact crippled their development, because the African peoples are very isolated because there are very little to no navigable waterways inside the continent. So the African peoples had very little to no communication with one another. Can't blame that on colonization. Can't blame that on the white man. That's just the circumstance of geography. Mbutu of the former Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Angola, torched and set aflames by Marxists that were instigated and funded by the Soviet Union and the Fidel Castro regime in Cuba. The hero of the left, one of the left's heroes, Che Guevara, was instigating a Marxist revolution in Angola. But we Wakanda forever. But see, here's the thing, and see, they would have you believe, that the reason why Wakanda looks different in the fiction world is because Wakanda just so happened to be the area where this, if y'all don't know the story and the history of Black Panther, it's a cash pit for corporate technocracy, all ran by black people, and they're doing it at the expense of their own people. But you're all blackety black. We all need to stick together. No, you need to stick with the people who share your value. You need to stick with the people who believe in the God of the Bible. Those are your people. worshiping your skin color. That's idolatry. So they would have you believe that Wakanda is rich and wealthy because of vibranium. Because y'all know the story of Wakanda in the comics. There was a meteor, something hit the area, and it was this element that was on this meteor, and they were able to parlay the slave cobalt mines in the Congo. Wack, I don't know if you learned that because I mentioned that before in one of my streams. It was a YouTube video. I talked about the cobalt mines, which cobalt is a necessary element for the production of EVs, electrical vehicles. And 75% of the world's cobalt is produced in Congo. And in order for the cobalt to, it has to be refined for use before it can be, used to create batteries for electrical vehicles and whatnot. And they ship the cobalt off to none other than mainland China. It's not just the cobalt, but the tin, the tungsten, the batteries that power your smartphones, your laptops, all that shit comes from the Congo. And their leadership is filthy fucking rich, and the people get paid nothing because they don't have open markets in the Congo. So, once again, vibranium happenstance. Boom. See, that's how Wakanda was able to develop. You see what I'm saying? Because of I love it. I love the allegory, right? So vibranium to Wakanda is what cobalt is to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Gotcha. But see, notice how an element as valuable, a substance as valuable as cobalt, has not produced great wealth for the peoples of the Congo. And why is that? Because they have a backwards political system. And they have a backwards political system because you have to keep in mind, your economic freedom is tied into your political freedom. If you do not have economic freedom, you do not have political freedom because you cannot undemocratically remove the people from power because they are the ones that control access to the things that you need to live. This is the whole oxymoron when people talk about democratic socialism. There is no such thing. Because you cannot give the state control of the means of production because you cannot vote them out of office. Because if you don't vote for them, they cut off your water. If you do not vote for them, they cut off your electricity. They own the means of production. There's no such thing as democratic socialism. Because the market is what makes the society so-called democratic. The state's job is just to sit back at a distance and make sure that everyone plays by the rules. So, even though Wakanda is, you notice how they got all the traditional African, the dancing they got, when T'Challa, when they were going to anoint T'Challa, the new king, what did they do? Does anyone object to this man becoming the new, and then him and his rival, my man, he was called Man Ape in the comics, but they called him, what was his name in the film? But they didn't want to call him Man Ape because they thought that would be offensive. But his homeboy, he had a little feud with, they fought, and T'Challa won a little fight or whatever. So T'Challa was able to become the king because he won the fight. You talk about the height of political sophistication. My God, the future king of the great dynasty of Wakanda was decided by way of a fucking good old round of fisticuffs. But they're so advanced. They're pushing a false narrative because you cannot have the kind of societal advancement that you saw in Wakanda with an inferior culture and an inferior political system. And what they do with that story here is a bit of a subtle propaganda because they would have you believe that Western civilization, because listen to what the left says. Come in real close. They talk about what? Unequal wealth and income distribution. So what are they implying when they talk about unequal wealth distribution? They're implying that wealth is actually distributed instead of created. Yes, wealth can be distributed, but wealth is created. in this kind of divinely inspired earthly alchemy, because wealth is created with the human mind. Every single solitary element that exists on this planet today has been around since the days of the caveman. We talk about cobalt, tin, tungsten, things we use to create plastic, the petrochemical industry. Those are all innovations that come from man's mind. Because tin, tungsten, cobalt, aluminum, without man's mind, without his ability to transmogrify those things into something of value that makes the condition of human suffering more bearable, those elements are useless. It's man that makes life what it is. This is why God gave man dominion over the earth. It's in the Bible. You are the stewards of this great planet, and I have given you everything that it is that you need to survive. It's right here. We've taken natural elements, stardust and all this, right? And here I am communicating with God knows how many people on a handheld device that we couldn't even fathom existing 25 years ago. Hell, some of y'all couldn't even fathom the existence of a smartphone 10 years ago. When did they start coming out? 2010, 2009, something like that? But you didn't believe it till you seen it. It's man's mind. It's not the vibranium. It's not the cobalt. So they have you believing that the white man is, on the flip side, that he had inherited something that he didn't deserve. Because what the white man so-called has is the result of ill-gotten gains. Let me tell you, and I don't give a damn how this make you feel, because I am on no one's team. I am on God's team. Therefore, I am on the side of truth. The reason why Christendom and Western civilization rose to become the global hegemonic power is because Western civilization had a superior culture to every other part of the world. Superior to Africa, superior to Asia, superior to the Native Americans, and every other society that they colonized. And it was the British Empire, more so than any other European empire, that brought more peace to the world. While y'all all running around talking about Queen Elizabeth II dying and her legacy and colonization, this, that, and the third, the British Empire was the first society to legally abolish the slave trade. And the British Empire was the most powerful empire on the planet at that time, and they patrolled the iron seas, the high seas with an iron fist. And if the British Crown caught anyone trafficking in slaves on the waters that they patrolled, they would arrest you and hang you. This was nearly 150 years before the country of Ethiopia would officially abolish slavery in 1944 at the end of World War II. Y'all don't hear me. All of my Rastafarians out there. Rastafari, King Haile Selassie, Pan-Africanism, Marcus Garvey, where's the black man king? After Mussolini had colonized in many respects Ethiopia, after the Axis powers was defeated, King Selassie was granted. He was brought back into Ethiopia after he had fled because, well, the Italians had taken over Ethiopia. That's when slavery was officially taken off the books and made illegal in Ethiopia. It wasn't until 1944. But, oh, man, hell, they still trafficking. I mean, it's slavery, it's human trafficking. We know compulsory, all that stuff is all over the world. Slavery more prevalent now than it ever was. But they still openly trading in slaves in Africa right now. And I'm just using y'all's logic and turning it against y'all because y'all don't give a fuck. Y'all steady talking about white people. And shit that happened 200 some odd years ago. And using that as an excuse as to why your neighborhood look like a damn war zone. This Thomas Jefferson, we got to pull this statue down. It's, man, every time I see that white half woman with fish legs, oh, it just make me so, ooh, it just make me want to just go kill Whitey. I want to go kill a cracker. I can't stand that white. Every time I see that Little Mermaid. Oh, she black now? Oh, well, shit. What's next? Reparations? I have to get my reparations, sir? Remember Black Panther, remember they said, hey, nobody, remember, they cut themselves off from the outside world, remember? Then that was the whole thing with Killmonger and that whole character. Remember, Killmonger was upset because he felt like the Wakandan technology could be used to free black people who are oppressed all over the world. This quasi-communist narrative in the film. That extremely average movie, by the way. Lord have mercy. I mean, it was nominated for Best Picture. Are you kidding me? You can't tell me that wasn't because of, huh? But yeah, in Hollywood, talking about you got to have X amount of representation behind the camera, in front of the camera, and all that shit, just to be nominated for an Academy Award. But you're not supposed to get mad when they race swap white characters. Okay. It's cultural Marxism. Social justice. But they gaslight you. As soon as you get mad about it, they go, oh, see, there's a racist. No, motherfucker, it's you. You the one who don't like white people. That's why you swapped her race in the first place, because you don't want her to be white. As if I'm supposed to really care that she was white in the first place. You think that's what I think about? That's just what they think about you black people. So Wakanda, you couldn't. They didn't want to open themselves up to the outside world. Remember when Black Panther, what did Black Panther come out? 2018? Huh? All the while, President Trump was racist and MAGA Republicans was racist because they wanted a secure border. But all you black people talking about Wakanda forever. They ain't letting nobody from the outside world into they shit. Did y'all have a problem with that? What was that line in Black Panther? I don't even remember what the exchange, because I only saw the movie once because it wasn't good enough to warrant a rewatch. But I think T'Challa or something was like, man, when you let people from the outside world in, you're not just sharing with them your gifts, you are taking on their problems. And that was the whole thing with Wakanda. It was like, should we or shouldn't we? Should we, shouldn't we? Because it's one of those things. There's a certain way you integrate people, but you have to integrate them into your way. Because they chose to come here. So make them do things your way. They must speak your language. They must pledge allegiance to your country. They must salute your flag. They must respect your customs. They must respect your traditions. But they are telling these people that the United States belongs to them because this is another branch of the critical social justice curriculum being taught in our universities. It's called post-colonial theory because we don't really belong here, America. America doesn't have the right to exist because this is the land of the indigenous people. As a matter of fact, west of the, Mississippi River, for crying out loud, used to be Mexico. So we need to give it back, you see. So, stream of conscious. That is why, in closing, Ariel should stay white. Shaft should stay black. Black Panther should stay black. Blade should stay black. Spawn should stay black. Superman, Clark Kent should stay white and heterosexual. Batman should remain white and heterosexual. Y'all ain't even know. Matter of fact, it wasn't who else gay? Clark Kent's son, current Superman, but Harley Quinn, she bisexual. I didn't even know she was in a relationship with Poison Ivy. I didn't even know that. So Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, they got a little thing going on. And I guess Joker, he kind of like, maybe they be doing like a little, I don't know. These characters should stay what they are because they are the ones that are hijacking and monopolizing these sacred institutions to use them as platforms for their activism. The same shit they doing at your job right now in your HR department. And I'm gonna end this in light of, y'all pray for me, please. In light of all the anger, the frustration, and the profanity, let me just end this like this. And I'm gonna give y'all a lesson, man. Because, like I said, the left feels as though they have the right to do this because they think that they are exacting a form of social justice by taking white characters away, because in their minds, white people have been at the top for too long. This is the whole, once again, the oppressor, the oppressed, the bourgeoisie, proletariat sort of dynamic. All right. So white people have, I don't even want to get into the whole concept of whiteness. I have a live stream about that as well. I may get back into it. But white people benefit from the institution of whiteness. And so this to them is an attempt to get back at that inherently unjust system that perpetuates this notion, this ideal that white is right and all other things are wrong. So what you have is you're caught in this perpetual cycle of endless retribution. But at some point, man, it has to stop. And this, whether you believe in the Bible or you don't, this is why the Bible is the greatest book of moral instruction ever created. Many leftists, socialists, they will all tell you this. That they say stupid things like the white man gave the black man Christianity to dumb him down and so on and so forth. Marx said the same thing about religion. He called it the opiate of the masses because it was too fatalistic. People were resigned to their fate. It made them reluctant to rebel. These secular activists who celebrate their blackness say the same things because they say that I, for example, as a black man, I am stupid for saying that I hold no grudge against white society or the white man or white people or whiteness, whatever some stupid cockamamie term some intellectual came up with. I don't hate them. And the reason why is because my God lives. Jesus lives. And he commands his adherents to forgive. You don't have a choice. And that's the hardest thing for a Christian to do. I'm getting a little choked. I'm getting a little emotional. It's the hardest thing. It's not fornication. It's not pornography. It's not drunkenness. Adultery. The hardest thing for a man to do, that God's command, is to show love to his enemies. That take a kind of courage that most people don't have, man. And you know why you have to do it? Not only because God commands you, but he gives you an example. Because his son did it for you. God forgave you when you didn't deserve it. So you talk about slavery and racism and sister, all this shit, all that, and they want to make the roots, all that propaganda. They want you to forever be angry because your reluctance to forgive only hurts you. Because when you don't follow God, it's not to please God and his ego. God don't have an ego because God don't need you. You need him. And what God instructs you to do is meant to help you. You have to forgive. Or else, when you die, and you find out that hell is real, and God is real, if you haven't asked for forgiveness and accepted the gift of salvation, it's going to be too late. So how dare you, in your pride, in your arrogance, think that you have the moral, the right and the moral currency to pass judgment on another race of people? God forgave you for your sin, so you have to forgive him. And let them keep their damn mermaids. I'm out.